Laceration 2.0 is back and better than ever. This time we've spent many hours in PvP on the chase for the crown. This is what I've learned. We're talking skill, gear, everything you know to make a DK rock and burn down the opponents in Cyrodiil, solo, and beyond. If you want to know how I play my Dragonknight, watch this video in a lot of detail. This is the skill section in the guide for Laceration 2.0. This build is mainly for 26 to 50 or VR1. While you're leveling, you can solo or PvP. I spent the majority of my time 35 to now, which I'm 41, PvPing primarily. Now, the reason I'm doing this build now is because I plan to use these skills, this gear, all the way to VR1 or level 50. So I want to come out with this now so you guys know what I've been using since you've watched my stream and probably like, how is he doing all this crazy stuff? This build is primarily what I used to use, and I think PvP for 1.5, and it's pretty effective. The reason being is you can get these skills early on, and they're really powerful all the way until endgame. So the first couple things I like to use is in PvP or PvE, you need a way to stun someone, and if you're playing melee, you need a way to close the gap. That's what Invasion is for. Invasion is from the Sword and Shield skill line. It's a morphed version of Shield Charge. Now, if you're playing PvE only and soloing, you might want to change the morph on this because the other morph gives you a shield bubble. I like the stun because it increases the duration, but the shield bubble might be more defensive if you're looking for that. All Invasion is you simply charge in and stun the enemy. And you have to be a little, so you can't charge right on top of them. See, I'm pressing the 1 key, it won't do anything. You'll notice that it's not lit up. So you have to get some distance. Then you can charge. So that's the downside of Invasion, is you need to know you have to be back 3.5 meters. So there's a good way to do it. Now, Invasion tricks, when I do this in PvP, a lot of people don't understand the concept of positioning, and where you're facing dictates if an enemy can hit you or not. Now, showing these skills in PvP, why am I doing that? Because I can control the environment. If you want to see this in live action, watch my video highlights on Twitch, my stream. I have hours and hours of video of me pulling this off. So if you're looking for that, even stay tuned at the end of this video. I'll have some extra scenes here that show PvP fighting in detail. But this is so I can control the environment and explain it so it makes sense the way I like to do it. Okay, so let's say I'm going to use Invasion, and this rock right in front of me here is an enemy. First off, you have to be 3.5 meters back. Once you do an Invasion, you're going to come and stun them, right? But don't stop there. Always try to get the enemies back, the back. There's no collision detection in other players, so you can walk right through them. You walk right through them, and you start beating on their back. Why is that? The reason is because if they aren't facing you, they can't target you with single target abilities. They can only use AoE. So when I do invasions in, you'll notice I try to strafe with the A key and get their back and then beat on them. That way I'm doing damage to them, they're not doing damage to me. It's a simple concept, but you will be so much more survivable. Be like a ghost, constantly strafing, constantly giving them problems. Don't just invasion in and straight up look at them. You dictate the fight. You dictate the angle. They don't. So that's how I use Invasion to effectively enter into a combat and stun players. Second ability here is what we've been using, Flame Lash. This is the morph that gives you health back when you lash someone a second time. The reason it's so good is you basically do a decent amount of damage up front. If they're stunned, you can do another lash which deals flame damage and heals you. It's very low cost, so it's a good spammable ability that can really produce high damage on a single target. This build is more for getting in people's faces and putting pressure on individual targets, not doing area damage, that type of thing. So flame damage right here. Now, I'm going to show you how to use this, but if you wanted to do PvE specifically, and you want to like maybe play a tank, you can go with the Inner Fire ability. This is a ranged taunt, essentially, that uses magic. So if you're going to go do a dungeon, swap Flame Lash out for Inner Fire. If you don't have Inner Fire yet, you can always do Puncture, though it's a pretty big stamina hog at low levels. So that's what I would do, swap that out. Also, another good idea to swap out is hardened armor for invasion if you're solely doing PvE content. That way you can be a little more tanky and you don't need to close the gap because they're going to come to you, they're NPCs. But for PvP, you can't be Flame Lash. So the idea here is to, remember, Flame Lash procs that second attack if the enemy is stunned. So, stun him off the bat. One, well, I killed him. Okay. Oh, they're level 37. We gotta find a bigger target. Let's see if we can find a world boss, because that just nuked him. So the idea here is to Flame Lash him. Invasion in so that procs that second attack. One. See that second attack? Boom. 2,500 self-heal. 2,500. That's incredible. I have 8,500 health. That's incredible amount of health back. So that's why it's so good. So that's actually your first ability that you can really use to self-sustain and self-heal is Flame Lash. Let's try it again. Just so you get the idea. Okay, now watch my bar 2. Slot number 2 on my bar. Watch what happens. Stun, 1, 2, it lights up. And then I do that big, huge turnaround whip. That's when you know. So you're looking on your bar 2 for a different icon. Once it lights up, click it again. That's the free proc. Okay, another trick is Talons. Burning Talons. I take this morph, Draconic Power, the Dragonknight skill, locks enemies in place, does damage. It's an AoE. It's one of the best abilities in the game. Reason being is immobilizes. There's stuns and immobilizes. Stuns is on a cooldown. So if someone breaks a stun, you can't stun them again. But you can stun someone and then immobilize them. So in PvP, what happens is I generally invasion in. What they're going to do is CC break immediately. They're going to hit what I think both mouses together. So that gives them about 5 seconds of immunity to stuns. Well, guess what I do? I Talons them right down in place. Now they can't move. They can do one of two things. Panic or dodge roll out. If they dodge roll out, they just burn a lot of their stamina. So guess what? I'm just going to invasion in them again, put pressure on them. Put pressure on them. Every dodge roll they do, every block they have to do, oh, they're going to have to burn their resources. Okay, well, I guess let's do it here. So I'm in an invasion. I'm going to show you what this looks like. Remember, immobilizing or off balance procs the Flame Lash. Invasion in, lock them down. There's a double Flame Lash there. Another double Flame Lash. It's okay. Here we go. Invasion in. Talons. Talons now. Flame Lash this guy. Back up. He's about done with his stun immunity. Or you can Talons him. Back up. And then invasion. Double Flame Lash. Too easy. Close that portal to oblivion, my friends. Okay, so we got that. That's a pretty simple setup. Remember, the more simple this is going to be, the easier it's going to be pulled off. Simple always wins. Dragon Fire Scales. Oh my god. This is one of the most powerful abilities in the game. Reflex 4 attacks, range attacks. It's probably the coolest looking ability in the game. So, but the problem with it is, it's only 4 seconds. So you're going to have to cast this a lot. That's why I build my character to have a whole lot of magic reduction cost and magic generation. Because I'm casting stuff all the time. How you use this. Essentially, once you invasion in, Talons go through a couple things, usually you're going to be the center of attention. So after I invasion in, I do a couple Flame Lashes. Now 2 or 3 enemies are going to start attacking me. That's when I put up my defensives. Once I do Flappers, is what I call them, they're going to see me and they're going to do one of 2 things. They're either going to keep on shooting me, which is great because you're going to reflect back and do a ton of damage to them. I've killed many sorcerers, many snipers just by reflecting back their own projectiles. Remember, projectiles means spells, it means arrows, it means it's just incredibly powerful. And it's only 4 projectiles, it's not everything. So you're going to have to cast this a lot, especially when you're in a big, deep situation where a lot of people are targeting you. So that's how I use that. I let them know, hey, I'm the Dragonknight here. I'm in front. You're gonna have to come to me to kill me. You're not gonna range me down. You will not range me down. You're gonna have to come to me. If they come to me, guess what I'm gonna do? Talons them down. I'm gonna Flame Lash and lacerate their face off. So that's how you defend against ranged attacks. You defend against people up close by using Talons, stunning them with invasion, and lashing them down. What would Dragonknight build out? Green Dragon's Blood. It's basically our basic self-heal, though you could put something on this slot and put Green Dragon's Blood on your back bar if you wanted to do more damage or get more aggressive. You could do Engulfing Flames. You want to do big time damage. You could do more single target here. Have a little bit more armor. You could do Inhale even. But really the only thing I would replace it with was Igneous Shield or one at Petrify, even a long-term stun. But this is kind of a simple setup. Okay, Magma Shell. Dragon's Blood is self-explanatory. I've talked about it a million times. Magma Shell here is an ultimate where basically you're not dying. It's 200 ultimate cost, and you're not going to die pretty much for 10, 11 seconds. Now the trick to this is that while active, allies can activate a protective shell for 103% of their maximum health. I play the leader in PvP, so what I do with this is, if we're about to breach, and let's say this is the entrance to the breach right here, we're going to pull up as a team. Everyone's going to stack literally on top of me. Remember, there is no collision detection. They stack on top of me. Reason being is when I pop this, they can only activate it if they're really, really close to me. So what I do is I pop this, I go hit the synergy, hit the synergy. Everyone hits the synergy. I can see a big, huge bubble around them. I give them about 3 seconds to do that. Then we charge in. So now everyone enters the fight with a 100% damage bubble, and I have 11 seconds where I'm probably not going to die. So that's how I enter breaches with my team. Other than that, I don't use it. I use it just defensively. Or if people are beating on me about to die, click it. And you can flip for a little bit longer. So, that's skills on bar 1, Sword and Shield. Now, why do I use Sword and Shield? I use Sword and Shield for the passives. And I'm going to get to passives in a little bit. But Sword of Shield makes it so much more defensible. People are like, why do you use Sword and Shield? Watch. Okay, I attack. This guy hits me for 1,000. Just this guy's light attack here is 1,000 hit. 1,000. Now if I block... Come on, hit me, yo. 357. So when I talk about blocking and why it's so important, it mitigates what was that, 2/3 of the damage? So it lessens the damage. Basically you're trading damage reduction for stamina. So think of, I'm gonna block when I need to be defensive. If my stamina is low and I'm about to run out, stop blocking. Because if you don't, you're gonna get stunned and die. So just think, blocking with Sword and Shield mitigates that damage. You're trading stamina for damage reduction. That's why blocking in Sword and Shield is so important. Restoration Staff in bar 2. PvP, I think you gotta have a couple things. You gotta have a stun, you gotta have a self-heal, you gotta have a gap closer and a way to do damage. So for the self-heal with Restoration Staff, I like one Restoration Staff ability. I'm getting away from these guys. Didn't know you guys respawn that fast. Jeez Louise. One Restoration Staff ability is Rapid Regeneration. The reason I use Rapid is it lasts a long time. So 2 nearby allies, so I'll spam this. I will just keep casting it. If there's 12 people in my group, it's going to do 2 at a time. So how many is that? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Look, my magic is still even full. So now I've just splashed everyone with a decent heal over time. It's going to last a long time. So before we're going to breach, I'm going to do that. Passively give a lot of healing to all my allies. Okay, so with bar 1, you got the gap closer. You also have a gap closer in bar 2, which is extended chains. Extended chains now basically pull someone to you, or you go to them if they're CC immune. So I'll show you what this means. Let's go find a little mob here. It's not all crazy. Oh, a troll, perfect. Okay, our wolf. If I invasion in on him, see how he's stunned? Now I get pulled to him, since that stun immunity is already there. But if I don't stun him first, they come to me. See? So in PvP, it's really important, because if I have a sniper just sitting here picking off my targets on my team, I'm going to pull them to me. Then I'm going to talons them. They're not going to know what to do. So I'm going to pull them, talons them, I'm going to flame lash the crap out of them. Then if they run away, I'm going to invasion on them, beat the crap out of them flame lash style. Mostly it's just used to catch people off balance and separate like healers from the rest of their party. Make sure when you do it, the target is immune to CC. They don't have a movable bubble up. They don't have that little ring around their feet. Otherwise, you'll go into them. So you have to be careful with that ability. Second ability, an extended chains and the ardent flame. Very first skill. So you can get it really early. Love it. Next ability is a little bit harder to get. It's going to take a while PvPing, but it's Purge. Purge cleanses yourself. That's really the only ability Dragonknights have that can cleanse debuffs, especially fire debuffs. Not only does it cleanse you and remove negative effects, but it does for your party in a 12-meter radius. Huge, huge, huge ability. It also comes with a steep magic cost. 25% of my magic to use this. So you're not going to spam this over and over, but if you get hit hard with a fire blister and you and your team's just burning, you got to hit this thing. So, I consider this a must in PvP. Now, you can swap this ability out if you're doing just PvE, like soloing around. You might want to go Healing Springs just for a decent heal. Ooh, look. Yeah. Got a passive there I didn't take. We'll talk about passives. You might want to swap this out for Healing Springs or another ability here. Even more damage if you're not doing PvP specifically. Third ability. I love, love, love. Everyone wonders, how am I going so fast, Deltia? It's in the Assault tree line, which you can get this right away in Alliance War. Rapid maneuvers. You gain major expedition. Also, you grant immunity to snares and immobilization. The effect ends when you attack. So remember I was talking about Magma Shell stacking up. We're going to click it, hit this energy. Now we're going to hit this. Rapid. For 20 seconds, basically, you're not going to Talons me in place. Me or my team. But you can't attack. But you can heal. So when we go into a breach or we're moving, we're about to die, I'll say rapid. Everyone will stop attacking at that time. Because if they stop attacking and just heal, then they can just move out of the place. No one's going to get Talons in place and die. If they attack, they lose that immunity effect. So essentially we'd hit this, I'd hit cleanse, I just spam rapid on everyone or rapid regeneration, and we'd move back. We'd get in a safe place, regroup, self-heal, go back in the fight. That's how I do that. And also, you can use it on your horse now. So, while you're transiting around, even in leveling, it's super fast. So I hit this, and this isn't even all the way morphed yet. So it's not morphed. I would take retreating maneuvers once I get it morphed. So that's that ability. Okay, Igneous Shield is utterly amazing. All of your allies absorb a decent amount of damage, and you have a huge damage shield. Also, it increases your effectiveness of your healing by 30% for 7 seconds. So hypothetically, the rotation I want, once I get Purge morphed, Purge has a morph where you can heal people for a maximum percentage of their health. So what I want to do, once I get this morph, is hit Igneous Shields first, proc that health, that healing boost. Then I'm going to hit Cleanse, the morph version, to heal people for their max health. It's going to get a 30% boost. Then I'm going to spam rapid regenerations for the rest of the duration. That's going to do significant healing, just basically using 2 skills. That alone will keep your party up and keep you up, especially if you're soloing around. You're not going to die with this combo. So it's going to be Igneous, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's about all I can get from that 7-second range. Another reason to use Igneous Shield is passives, and we're going to talk about that. Earth and Heart. I'm going to tell you exactly which passives you take and why. Standard of Might, too good to pass up. Now, you can do Shifting Standard. If you're doing just PvP, it's probably actually better to use Shifting Standard. Because generally when you drop a Standard, people are going to move out of it because they're going to be like, oh, I'm going to die if I get burnt in. So I want to get a Standard up and show you just how powerful it is. Boom. It does have increased cost now, so it's going to take a while to get a Standard up. Trust me, save your ultimate for a Standard. You will not regret it. Let's go beat on a couple more wolves. Come here, Wolfie. Boom. Just about to a Standard. And if you haven't seen it, it has to be one of the coolest abilities in this game. Like, when you see a Standard and it gets dropped, you're like, oh crap, it's about to get real. Okay, so how I use Standard, why I put it on my second bar, is because I like the oh crap button on my first bar. And for this troll here, essentially what I'm going to do is invasion talons. I'm going to get a group's attention. So I want a bunch of people to go, oh, I'm going to go kill Delty. I'm going to go rip Delty's face off. That's exactly what you want to have happen. So you want to do the flappers, get people to go, well, if you do flappers, they're going to have to come close to kill you. Perfect for us. So flappers are like, oh god, I gotta come close to kill Deltia. Okay, here comes a bunch of blueberries to fight me, or, you know, bananas. Oh no, what I'm gonna do? Banner. I hit the wrong button, didn't I? Wow, only in a video. Well, essentially you hit banner, and you talons them down in place so they can't get away. You're gonna talons them down in place so they can't get away. If they can't get away, if they do get away, then you can extended chains to bring them back. Essentially, you're going to sit in your standard and just try to lure people into it, locking them down in place, and then also using talons, extended chains to bring them back. Remember, you do more damage and they do less damage to you while in the standard. So even if they all dodge roll out of it, stand there. Stand in your standard and just reflect projectiles. They're going to have to come close to you to do damage. If they don't want to come close to you, you're not dying. So that's the way I kind of shoo people off. It's like a dog marking its territory. I slam a banner down. You're going to have to come at me to kill me, bro. Let's talk about passives next. On a lot of my end game builds, I've got a lot of feedback saying, you know, Deltia, which passives do you take and why? So for this particular guide, I really do want to talk about passives. I'm going to talk about the most important. For me, I always take all the passives in my character's skill line, and then the weapons I use, I take them all. But starting out, you're not going to be able to do that. So the most important passives in the Dragonknights, period, is from the Earthen Heart. Yes, Earthen Heart. So two of them are absolutely, utterly vital to you surviving, which is Battle Roar. Activating ultimate restores health, magic, and stamina. No one else gets this. So think of ultimates as twofold. They're offensive and defensively, but they also regenerate they just give you a boost of resources and health. So if you're in trouble, use an ultimate. It's better than dying. And then also that's going to generate so much more sustain to keep you in the fight. Mountain's Blessing, I think this is incredibly underrated for people. Not only does it buff everyone's weapon damage within 30-meter range, but it grants you 3 ultimate. So every time in a fight, you can only use this every 6 seconds. So remember Igneous Shields? Talked about using it here, popping this. Well, if I'm in combat, I just generated 3 ultimate. As soon as I get done, if I repop it, there's 3 ultimate, so on and so forth. You need to be in combat to get that ultimate to proc, but essentially you're going to generate a lot of ultimate. The more ultimate we have, the more ultimates we can use, the more resources we get back, the better we're going to be. So these two passives are vital to your character. In fact, Earthen Heart, it's the reason I put all the Earthen Heart abilities on my bar when I turn a quest in, because I want this skill line to level up very, very, very fast. Those are very, very important. Obviously, World of Flame is a really important one here, but Searing Heat is awesome because it increases the duration of these things. The longer standards up, the more damage reduction, the more damage you're going to do. Really important to take this. Even take 1 point in here just to give a slight snare is very important. And then increases the damage, that's pretty self-explanatory. The second most important ultimate, or the second most important passive is the block, additional 10% damage. Remember, that's why Dragonknights use Sword and Shield, because I can block and mitigate so much damage. 2/3 of my damage is reduced because of this passive right here in Draconic Powers, and then also the Fortress cost. Reduce the cost of Sword and Shield abilities, but reduces the cost of blocking by 30%. 30%. So these is I consider a must take. And then Sword and Board, the amount of damage you can block by 20%, obviously huge. But really, those right there, that's about 5 or 6 skill points I consider must-haves. And you can get that pretty early on. The rest I dumped into light armor. I take these first 2 are the very most important. Magic generation, reduce magic cost. And I use 5 light to 2 medium. The reason I like medium is for the Windwalker passive. Reduces stamina cost, stamina recovery, and then down here, once I rank it up high enough, dodge roll. Dodge roll bonus. Dodge roll is so important because that's how I escape a lot of attacks. Reducing the dodge roll cost in PvP is super important. So I like the 5 light, 2 medium setup. So those are the most important passives. Now you can get fancy passives here later on, like Banish the Wicked, so increases You know, it gives you ultimate back for killing stuff. Alliance War, if you're going to do PvP, take everyone there. Of course, your racial passives, take them all. And then even alchemy, if you level up alchemy to get medicinal use, which I will later on, that's going to have a huge important role. Starting out though, get those passives. That's what makes or breaks your character, to be completely honest with you, is passives. You do that, you're going to see a huge performance increase. Let's talk about the gear on Laceration 2.0. My gearing in PvP is usually simple regardless if I'm endgame or not. It's pretty simple setup that I always run. I almost always have a 5-piece arena set. Arena, Wave Arena, reduced cost of break free by 40%. Especially a frontline fighter, you're going to be constantly CC'd, crowd controlled, stunned, everything, feared, whatever. So when you break CC, the amount of stamina is significant without this. So you're only going to be able to break CC a couple times. You're going to be out of stamina. The next time you get CC'd or stunned, you're dead. You can't block. You can't control your character. For 4 or 5 seconds, you're just going to get wailed on. So preventing that is very, very important. I can't recommend Arena enough. It is vital. It's also craftable, so you can get it at level 1. It does take 8 traits, so you're probably going to have to find a trader if you're new to the game to get it. I cannot say enough things about Arena. It's so, so vital to this. So like I said earlier, 5 light, 2 medium. I also go with a 4-piece Seducer set, so that's going to give me a lot of magic recovery. Remember, some of these sets scale in PvP when you go to Cyrodiil with battle level. So it might say 69 magic recovery here, but when you get into Cyrodiil, it's going to be a huge amount. So I go with Seducer on the other pieces of gear, and then also I bought a 2-piece ring set just from the vendor that gave me more magic recovery. More magic recovery, more stats, the better. So out here, I got tons of magic recovery. I go Divines on all my stuff. You're like, Divines? Why would you do Divines? Because with Divines, I use the Atronach Magic Recovery Mundus Stone. At level 41, I have 1,000 magic recovery. When I go to Cyrodiil, I almost have 1,400 with the drinks that I use. That is an incredible amount. With that, I can just sit here and cast all day. I mean, look, this is a level 41 character. So that's why I love Seducer, Sarabane's here, and then a random one on my jewelry. So I do reduce magic cost and chance, and then on my actual glyphs I do all max, all magicka, because battle level is going to give me almost 30,000 health, so I don't need any health. So you'll notice the whole gear concept about this is resources. Find a way to get stamina back, find a way to get magicka back, reduce your magicka cost, reduce CC breaking. PvP and builds doing solo stuff is all about never running out of resources. If you run out of resources, you're dead. You're dead, period. If you don't, you're going to be alive. You can dodge roll with your stamina to stay alive. You can self-heal with your magic. That's how I stay alive forever. On my stuff here, Sword and Shield, I just did Precise, though you probably could do Defending, Divines, and then a Healing Restoration. I mean, this is level 14 gear on my Restoration staff, but it works pretty well. Also, a couple underrated things are the drinks. I use drinks now over food because I have enough health. It's really easy to get health. It's not so easy to get big, huge recovery. So, honestly, you want the blue drinks that give you magicka and stamina recovery, not magicka and health. But I didn't have time to craft my own, find a recipe, so on and so forth. So I just used this. You're going to want to use this. Chug it down. Look at that magic recovery. Even for a lowbie, that's impressive. I went werewolf on this guy. Increases my stamina regeneration in combat by 15%. Some people say it works, some people say it doesn't, so be it. I think that it lists on the toolbar, I'm going to do it, I'm going to use it. So those are really, really invaluable. All this build centers around is staying alive through resources. So let's recap here a couple things. I also use tripods. Now, people go, why are you using tripods at low level? Because they scale up in Cyrodiil. If you want to have the highest performing character, you need to act like it. You need to make consumables and do things that, you know, if you don't use potions, that's great. Good for you. But every little bit is going to help you. So if you want to be the best, you got to craft like the best. You got to carry around the best gear. You got to do. If you don't want to do that, fine. You're not going to be up to your potential, especially with potions. Tripods, I'm never running out of resources with the sucker. So tripods, all my stuff is just so I never run out of resources. If I'm in trouble, I'm gonna block. If my stamina's out, I'm gonna put up huggers. I'm gonna heal my face off, bubbles. I'm gonna get out of there. Once my stamina's back up, guess what? I'm gonna block. If I need to get an enemy, my stamina's down, extended chains. If I have a lot of stamina, then I can invasion in, or I can run out of there with rapid. Look at where your stats are. The stat thing that I use is Wicked Enhanced HUD to position my health bars. I rarely ever look at my character. I'm looking at the percentage of resources I have. So percentages are really important. A concept that I like to say is you should never be at full resources and you should never be at 0 resources. So when I say you should never be at full resources, it's kind of pointless to be at full resources. So if you have maximum magic, do something with it. You want to use it. Now, you don't want to go crazy, but if you're sitting around doing nothing, do an Igneous Shield. Get some rapids going on people. Make sure you're at about around 80-90%. That's where you want to be. You want to never go below about 25% because that's going to be your last resort self-heal. Same with stamina. You're going to want to be at 50% over almost all times because if you're at 50%, that's 1 CC break, 1 dodge roll, you're going to be safe and you can block. Anything below that, you're probably going to die. So at or around 50% stamina is when I stop doing invasions, I stop doing rapids, and I don't even block at that point. Because if you CC me and run out of stamina and I can't block, you will kill me. As soon as I dip below that, I will hit my potion, my tripod, or just a bit plain stamina pot, and I'll keep on blocking. If not, that's basically the only way I die is if I run out of stamina. Magicka, if I run out of Magicka, that's okay. I got stamina. I'm going to use huggers and heal my face off. And that's kind of the gear and skill setup. Now, I want to actually show a video in the back of combat and kind of talk you through it. Here's an example of combat when we did an AP farm up in red territory. One night basically holding a resource for about 20 minutes, attracting all the red in the area. So what this video shows is kind of how I frontline fight and get away with taking on a lot of enemies at a time. First things first, you gotta start sieging. If you want to be a Dragonknight in front, get really good at practicing putting siege down quickly on terrain and then point it right in front of you. The way the game's shaped up right now, it's too vital not to use siege all the time. Another thing is, get that cleanse on your bar and constantly cast reflective scales. As you can see here, I'm almost dead. 1 cleanse though, and a nice purge, and I'm back in the fight. As I take a lot of damage, I'm constantly swapping bars, removing CCs, and putting up reflective scales. Defense wins championships, and I can't say that enough for fighting a lot of enemies. So we're reining in some of the damage here, and really focus targeting having my backline fighters take on the siege while I get the enemy's attention. The whole goal of this build really is to get enemies' attention. Be so annoying that they want to target you. If they're targeting you, that gives your allies the chance to really succeed. So as I take on single target enemies, I'm getting bashed there, but I'm coming back getting the flag. Once we get the flag, we can reset up siege, burn theirs, and establish a strong foothold. You can see the red starting to pour up from the bottom, and that's exactly what we want to have happen. As they start pouring back, I buff everyone with heals, purges, constantly keeping my resource up, and let the enemy know we are here to stay. Also, don't get frustrated if you're getting targeted. This build is meant to be targeted. You are meant to get hit. You are meant to take damage, and you are meant to make the enemy mad. Another good common thing that I like to do is get in stealth as a group, get enemies' attention is usually what I do, and try to lure them in. If you can survive for a minute against anyone, you will have a really, really good time with this build. Especially considering that most people are just going to charge you mindlessly thinking that you're alone. So here I do one dodge roll, a couple flappers. They're going to have to get close to me to kill me, which is exactly what I want them to do. Use the guards to my advantage in siege. As you can see, my friendlies just doused him with fire. 2 really easy kills. I wasn't in pressure at all. So now those enemies are going to respawn at the keep, hopefully bring more friends to us. I'm going to get real aggressive and push to the door. I want people to know that I'm overextending, and so they feel confident they can kill me. The more people that come at me, the more kills I'm going to get. And you can see my friends pushing them all the way to the door. A couple easy kills. When we come back to the resource, every time a guard gets aggroed, that's a massive amount of AP. So every time that they engage and aren't successful, they're just feeding us a defensive tick at the siege. So make sure that you constantly keep killing onesies and twosies of them and waiting for the big massive horde to show up, because they will. At this point in the video, you'll see I reflect so much back at the Sork that he almost kills himself. Just using crystal frags, getting reflected back in his face, just killing himself. If you're not careful fighting against me, you will literally kill yourself. What I'm doing here is coming up front in hopes that the enemies target me, not my friends, so they can siege. Take the pressure off your teammates. Especially being a leader in combat, you need to lead from the front. The more pressure you can take off your teammates, the better. As here we get some pressure on our siege line from the east flank. So what I'm going to do is peel back and make sure our siege line is okay. Once we get this keep flag, it's going to alert the enemy that we're here and they can't cut off transit areas. Now that we've got the keep flag, you know they're coming for us. Every kill counts now, because now they have to ride back. When you ride back for a 2-minute ride in frustration, you're really angry and you might overextend, making this a really, really strong point to siege from and also set up an AP farm. Making people come to you and you dictate the fight. That's what this excels at. So my job as the leader is to protect our siege line, our flank, and the front of us, and off-heal our friendlies. Really what we're doing here is trying to get their attention so they overextend into our resource and protect the resource via the tower. Once we do that, we have all the guards to our advantage, and it's going to be very hard to kill me. For this, I highly recommend as Dragonknights to go Dunmer. The fire resistance, even if you're not a vampire, is absolutely incredible, especially for Cyrodiil, considering most damage comes in the form of fire. Highly, highly recommend it. Now, this build can work for any race, but it's going to excel as a Dunmer. So if you ask me questions on which race, it's a Dunmer. Anything else will work, but it's not going to work as good. So now that I got their attention, I got my group to come around behind the resource here and kind of give the impression that we snuck off or we gave up on this resource. And then we're going to come around and flank them. The key to this flanking maneuver, which I call the tabernacle, is to make sure that everyone knows their job. Me, as the overextender, I'm going to put pressure on the front, and I want people to shoot me since there's no friendly fire with fire ballista. If I get shot with enemy ballista, I can survive due to my fire resistance and all my defense. So once we sneak all the way over here to the tabernacle, I let everyone recover some of their stamina. So wait a couple seconds, so that way people without reduced sneak costs can get their stamina recovered. The majority bulk of our force is here, and as you can see, the red doesn't know what's going on. They're going up to the siege thinking that we're still there, or we're kind of around there, which is perfect positioning for us. Now we've got enough time for everyone to kind of form up and let me get ahead of everyone. Remember, I want the enemy to put attention on me, not my friends. I set up a siege, I usually fire it and then charge in with someone else operating in the back. Rapids, get my shields up, bubble, here we go. We're going to fight, and we're going to have a lot of friendly fire. Charge in, I'm using Talon's Flame Lash to get their attention, and as soon as they charge me, that's when I lock them in with Talons, and I have a friendly fire ballista, just nuke them down. As you can see, they're on the stairs, which is perfect. We have the high ground, and we have ballistas. We are organized, they are not. So now that we've hit them up there, it's time to go back and do the same sort of thing. Keep on flanking them. Keep on putting pressure on enemies. That's what this build excels at. And this is just one of many highlights that I've had over the past week. So if you're looking for a PvP build that excels as in a leadership position, this is it. You cannot beat a Sword and Shield Dragonknight. Also, the off-healing with the resto staff is too important to pass up. A lot more videos, a lot more examples on Twitch. I hope you guys follow me there. I will have descriptions of the written guide with all the skills in there, as well as all of my gear setup on my website and Twitch highlights if you want to see more combat action. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with and how you like the Laceration build updated.